Welcome back to Introduction to Programming. This is video 21 in our series. My name is John Duane. In the last video, we continued our coverage of text file input-output. We looked at the code that read in a comma delimited file and wrote out a fixed column width file. Today we will finish off this topic by doing the reverse. We will read in a fixed column width file and write out a comma delimited file. But before we look at the program, let's talk a little bit about where you are now as a programmer. If you are new to this, and this video series is your first foray into programming, make sure you stop the video from time to time and write the code yourself into the interactive development environment and see if you can get it to work. Do little experiments. Try changing the code here and there and see what happens. Have fun with it. Eventually your program is going to crash. Sooner or later that's going to happen. And you'll have to figure out what went wrong. That's when you will really absorb the material we're covering. So it's like anything else in life that you're learning. You have to practice in order to get good at it. Alright, enough of that. Let's look at the code. So we'll get the interactive development environment on the screen. Now the program that I've displaying now is what we looked at last time. So just a very quick review. When we are reading a comma delimited file, we're going to use code like this. Input and then a series of containers. They could be variables, they could be array elements. So a series of containers after the input and file handle statements, and then each of these containers will basically absorb the next field. So here we've got 23 containers. They're going to take the first 23 fields that the program is encountering. Then we loop back, and then it's going to take the next 23. Now if you do this right, you're only going to have 23 fields on a row. So each one of these will be a row. If you miscount, and let's say there's 24 fields on the row, this is only going to count the first 23. And then when you loop back around into the first container, that's going to catch the last item on that row. And then the first item on the row is going to go into element 2. And that's going to be all wrong. So your results are going to be not what you want. So you really have to be very careful about counting the elements in a comma delimited line in your file. So that's one thing. So input is the way you read in the comma delimited fields, and then writing out the fields to a fixed column width format, you use the term print. And then after print, the variables that you want to print on that line. If you want to space them apart, you can use the tab field or tab function. Here we're tabbing over to the 25th column, and this second variable will print its first character in that 25th column. If you leave this blank, it'll go to the natural tab positions, which it'll depend on what your operating system has set up. It might be 12 or 13, something like that. So that's what we did last time. So now let's look at this time. I think I've got it up here. Fixed, yeah, here we go. Read fixed column file. So it's going to start off the same as the others. We're going to create a file system object. Then we're going to create a string variable, str file, to hold the file name. Have some file handling variables that'll help us along. Again, we're going to use ARR census as the array to hold the data. Here's the name of the file. This is going to be our fixed column width file. Actually, this is the file we created last time. Let's take a look at that. This is the file we created last time. So fixed column width. So that's what we're reading, and the name of the file is census.txt. We make sure that the file exists with the FSO object and the file exists method. If it's not there, we'll exit. If it is there, we'll redimension the array so that it's got enough rows to handle the entire file, and we'll use the lines function as we did in the last couple of videos. And for columns, we'll just do 2 because that's all we have is 2. We have a state and a population. So that'll be the array was sized properly now. Here's where the reading comes in. We assign a number to the file handle using the free file function. Then we open the file and do a for next loop. It will loop as many times as we have array rows. So that's what this upper bound function does on the array census array item. So what we're going to do now, so this is a fixed column width file. We're going to read the entire line all at once into string data. This is the typical way to do this. So we read the entire line, spaces, everything. Then what we'll do is we'll parse that line, and we'll take the elements from that parsing and put them into the array elements number 1 and number 2. So the way we parse the line is using string functions that we talked about way back in the beginning of this video series. We'll take the leftmost 22 characters from string data. String data is our line. So remember, that's what the left function does. It takes the leftmost characters and we tell it how many here. And then we'll use trim to get rid of the white space. So trim left string data 22. That will get us this element. Now, why did I do 22? Well, here's where this text editor really comes in handy. Notepad++. I kind of take a look down the 52 rows, and I see that this is my longest item. And so then I say, okay, if I'm there, that is column 21. So just for safety, let me go out to column 22, and that's how much data I'm going to bring in on every row. I'll get rid of the white space. I'll be good to go. So right there, 22. I don't have to count them. It's just telling me right there. Love that. So 22 leftmost characters, trim the white space. Now for the second element, I'm going to go in the middle of the string and get a substring from the middle of string data. And where am I going to start? I'm going to start at 23 because that's the next column. And I'm going to go over 13. Why 13? Well, let's take a look at this. I'm at 22 now. See, down here. I'll go over. Now I'm at 23. I want to go all the way to the end of that number. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 is it. And 13 is what I used. So that mid function gets a substring from string data starting at the 23rd column position and going over 13 spaces. Then we use trim to get rid of the white space. Do that over and over and over again 52 times with our for next loop, and we have ourselves a full array. Close the file. Now we're going to write this data out to a comma delimited file. So I'm going to use the same string file variable to hold the name of the new file I'm creating. I'm going to call it census with commas.csv. And notice I'm calling it CSV. That's appropriate because it's comma separated values. I get myself a new file handle using the free file function, and then writing out to a comma delimited file is very easy. Here we go. Open for output as in file, output because we're writing out to a file. A for next loop for the number of items in the array that I just created up above. And then the function to write comma delimited values is write. So write the file handle, and then array element 1, array element 2 separated with a comma. It's a for next loop. It'll go around and around 52 times. When it's done, close. So let's run it, show you what it looks like. So let's see, census with commas, there we go. So let's open that with Notepad+, and there you go, look at that. So this is the fixed column width file that I read in, and here is census with commas that I just created. Notice that each value is separated with a comma. What's a little different about the way the Visual Basic function works is that all of these values will have quotation marks around them. That may or may not work for you. Usually it's fine. So these will be strings, and if you ever need to use them in math, you'll have to convert this to a number, but we did that in a previous video, so you know how that works. So there you go. Pretty easy. Easy, but important to know, especially if you're going to be working with text files. So let's wrap up. Today we finished our discussion of text file input-output. You saw an example of reading in a fixed column width file and writing out a comma delimited file. Next time we'll begin our coverage of a new topic, user interface. We will talk about design principles with a focus on the business environment. So I won't get too artsy, but maybe a little bit. And then we go into the programming objects available to us in the Visual Basic for Applications language. And this might be also a good time to show you how user interface is created in one of the C languages. We'll probably do C# for that. So that's really good stuff. I hope you're as excited about it as I am. I really like creating user interface. It's fun, and we'll do that next time. So that's it for today. I hope this was helpful. Please subscribe to this video series and write comments about anything that wasn't clear. I monitor the comments and I will definitely respond. So see you next time.